We have to remember that 99.9% of the passengers are bona fide and honest people.
Right.
Now, we have to make sure that we will have qualified and well-trained people that know how to approach the passengers. Now, no one likes to be under interrogation. But when we tell the passenger that we are here to make sure that you will fly, your flight will be safe and secure, and you arrive at your destination safe.
I don't think there's any problem. Your airline questioned me for 3 hours. Not once did I think it was unreasonable. Not once, because I didn't have the right answers. And when I got on the plane, I felt good. I knew nothing was going to happen to the plane. Nobody was going to take this plane over.
In your case, you were exceptional, because normally we don't do it for 3 hours unless there is need to make sure that the passenger is clean 100%. Right. There is no chance that he will blow up the aircraft or he will hijack the aircraft.
Right.
Now, how we do it? Once we come to the passenger and we explain to him that we ask him to help us, to help him.
Yeah, well, that's what you did.
For his security.
The reason why it took the 3 hours is because I had to make contact. They said, well, tell us who lined this all up, and I couldn't get a hold of them, and so that's why it took so long.
That's right.
Could people, could we afford the security that El Al provides?
Why not? Sure. You know, I wrote to the TSA and to the Congress. I had the honor to testify 3 times in the Congress. Once after Pan Am over Lockerbie, and twice after September 11. And they know exactly how our system works.
Nobody gets rich off that. You know, I just lined these out on why these scanners are being purchased, these 4 things. Best way to protect. I think it's a combination of it's okay, but my friends get rich. It's top-down, bottom-up revolution, and it'll give people a chance to make villains and heroes. Do you think these are accurate?
I'll tell you, I'm not looking to have something extraordinary. All what we do is very simple work. We deal with life. And all what we want to do is very simple, to make sure that when we release you to the ticket counter with your luggage, we are convinced that you are clean.
Here's the thing. When I am, because I've gone through the TSA, in several cities the TSA is good. They look at you, they listen to you, you can tell that they're thinking. Some cities, Seattle, I've noticed this.
I have been there.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty good. For America. It's not El Al, but it's America. I've been in New York. I almost said to somebody, in fact, my wife said, don't we want to get on the plane? I almost said, could you look out that window? Because that's where the 2 buildings used to stand. They didn't even look. They looked at my driver's license, but never looked up at me. Can we hire, I mean, how many veterans do we have that are good people who are trained, you know, at least to be alert? That's who El Al hires, right?
Correct.
I mean, everybody is military, ex-military.
Don't forget that in this country we have over 300 million people.
Yeah.
Who can convince me that we don't have qualified and well-trained people in this
country? Of course we do.
So we do. Right. If we do, why we don't hire them? Number 2, why once we hire them, why we don't train them well? Not few hours or 2-3 days, and then to let them run the show at the security checkpoint. We have already enough experience with bad security. Look what happened September 11. 19 terrorists.
Yeah.
For God's sake, 5 at each security checkpoint. No one stopped them when they were carrying with them forbidden items to the aircraft, and we know the results.
Okay, look, America, here's the thing. This can be done. El Al is the example of what we should be doing. Not spending all this money in technology. Forget about the technology. Let's use people, shall we? You tell me, which would you feel better? Would you feel more secure having more technology, or having some of our returning troops have everybody who's wearing those uniforms know that those are returning troops who have been trained to do it? Let them retire from the service and go work for the TSA. Which do you feel better? More technology or U.S. military that's been trained? Back in a second. Earlier tonight, I was telling you about the Communist Convention here in New York City, and you just heard my guest who ran security for El Al Airlines. Let me tie these 2 things together. After 9/11, America agreed that we must not have unions in the Security Administration because it wouldn't allow them to hire and fire the people that they needed to keep us safe. Last December, when Barack Obama was considering TSA head, who would in all likelihood unionize the TSA, Jim DeMint heroically took a stand all by himself against it. He got Homeland Security Secretary Janet Napolitano to admit that she favored unionization. She said, quote, "I go back to the basic point that I do not think security and collective bargaining are mutually exclusive, nor do I think that collective bargaining cannot be accomplished by an agency such as the TSA, blah, 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 blah." Well, once again, the TSA is one step closer to unionizing. By the way, all of the Democrats, all of the progressives always said no unions in government until JFK signed an executive order. Now they're doing it to your security. Last week, the Federal Labor Relations Authority decided that the TSA staffers will now be allowed to vote on union representation. So that means two big labor groups are now going to be looking to represent an additional 50,000 transportation security employees. Goody, what could possibly go wrong there? Well, let me show you. It goes back to the communists. Here's a communist in D.C. I told you. Watch the coming insurrection and what is happening over in Europe. Here he is talking about the coming insurrection.
We're inspired by what we believe working people in the United States, throughout Europe, and indeed around the world, who will also be inspired by the great uprising of French workers and students in the recent days and weeks. In some cities, Lyon, for example, or Marseille, it's almost impossible to get around without permission from the unions. Of course, that's something we're very interested in as socialists.
Got it? You got it? In some cities, you can't even get around without permission from the unions. You have it? That's important, gang. That's really important. And of course, that is something we are interested in as socialists. Are you interested in making the unions helping the unions make it impossible or more difficult to get around if it suits their interests? Union members, I beg you to listen. I don't have a problem with the union members. I have a problem with the union leaders. Just like I don't have a problem with companies, I have a problem with corrupt companies. Your hard-earned dollars that you're working your brains out for are being taken from you by these union leaders, and they are using to help un-American communists that want a global revolution. Please, please consider, is that who you are? Your hard-earned money is being used, and it is being done in your name. Is this who you are and what you believe? You must stand up. Well, this week I gave SNL some new comedy lines, and the mocking has already begun. There is apparently no need to stock up on food. Yes, I have on this program this week had the audacity to ask you to do what I am doing. That's crazy. To get rid of things that you don't need and use that money to buy things that you do need. See, I think this is where the disconnect comes for the press. I'm not a progressive. I'm not forcing anyone to do it. I mean, if somebody chooses to sell their stuff and then take that money and use it for a good cause, charity, or to make themselves self-reliant, I think that's good. I'm actually telling people to make their own choices and get prepared. I'm not forcing anybody to do that, you see. And there's no reason to believe that we should prepare, right? I mean, other than this news today from the Chinese state-run news agency, it's on theblaze.com. They write that a senior Chinese official told them, quote, the prices of 18 staple vegetables rose 62.4% in China in the first 10 days of November from a year earlier. But it's not just China. That's the good news. I have a graph here. This graph shows that Brazil and China are both facing food inflation, while India is enduring more of a roller coaster effect in regards to its inflation. And don't worry, that's only 40% of the world's population rising prices. Other than that, here at home, check your grocery store. And The Gap, Walmart, JCPenney, you could pay up to 30% more for your clothes next spring. Tomorrow, food storage. How it's done with a whole audience full of people who don't have their heads in the sand. We'll see you tomorrow. It's one you don't want to miss. Food storage. How to prepare. And then relax. From New York, good night, America.